Ed Beach with Firaxis Games, and I'm the lead designer on Civilization V Brave New World. We looked at all 4 victory types that were available in Civilization, and we kind of wanted to look at which ones could be improved with a new expansion pack. And the one that we thought was definitely in need of a facelift was the Culture Victory system. So the problem with the Culture Victory before had been that it had been a little bit of a passive play style. You built your cities, you got the cultural buildings like the Opera House and the museum in those buildings, and then you just sort of sat back and hoped that nobody attacked you and that your culture system that you'd been put in place in those cities wasn't disrupted. We felt like that's not really dominating the world with culture. It'd be much more interesting if you built this amazing culture that everyone respected and looked forward to coming and visiting, and then you went and took that culture and spread it out to the other nations of the world. We've got Portugal, who is the civilization that really takes advantage of the new trade system we've introduced to the game. They are amazingly good at establishing a naval trading empire. All 3 of their unique abilities serve to further their naval trading goals. They are able to double the normal amount of gold that you pull in for having diverse sets of resources between the initial city of the trade route and the destination city. They also have a unique improvement, which is a fort that they can build, not in their own territory, but in city-state territory, to allow them to extract resources through naval coastal improvements that will give them a copy of the luxury good produced by that city-state. And then the third advantage they get is they get their unique unit, which is a now. It's a Portuguese exploration unit from the Age of Renaissance, and it replaces the caravel, which allows them to both explore the map faster since it has better movement, and that also carries a built-in cargo of exotic goods that it can sell one time to hopefully a distant land across the map, and that'll give you extra money and experience for that unit. So that's Portugal. Let me also talk about the other civs that we're announcing.
Is there 2 or 3?
There are 2 that are being announced this week, which brings our total to 5. So just to summarize, we've already announced that Poland and Assyria and Brazil are in the expansion. Portugal I just mentioned. And then the 5th announcement, which is sort of anticipated by our fans who've known that these guys have been in every version of Civilization up until now, are the Zulu. So these fierce warriors from the African continent who resisted European domination are once again in the Civ series. Shaka is their leader, and they're a civilization that's really good at coming up with a large army of land units that can swarm over you. They get bonuses for melee attacks, especially in flank formations, and they have a unique line of promotions that their combat units get that no one else is able to unlock. And we found in playtesting both Assyria and the Zulu, everyone is really enjoying them as new ways to play the military. Okay. Well, it's sort of somewhere between the industrial age and the start of the modern age that the ideologies unlock. And every nation that hits that point in the game is going to be forced to choose one of the 3 ideologies. You can't sit out. You can't be Switzerland in Civ 5 and say, I'm not going to participate in world politics. You have to actually jump in there and pick one of the 3 ideologies to support. So in the game, we're going to have fascism represented by what we call autocracy. We have communism represented by order, and we have the democracy represented by freedom. And those 3 ideologies are the big players in the political game late in the game, and they're going to all be in conflict with each other. And what you're going to have to do is commit into one. That's going to decide which nations are going to be friendly with you and which ones you're going to probably be fighting. And each of the ideologies is a special mini social policy tree. The other social policies in the game have about 5 policies in it. This one has 15 policies. You can pick and choose among the options there and configure the social policy tree that is exactly fitting your play style to get you to the victory you want. So lots of different paths to victory. You can go for a culture victory. You don't have to be a freedom civ. You can have just an amazing communist culture that everyone respects, working through our order ideology system. So the great thing about this is it gives you even more options with all the different civilizations that are available to play through the game through different paths to victory. Very good question. All right, the World Congress is another new system. It doesn't come along quite as late as the ideologies. It starts to be introduced about the industrial era. The requirement is that one civilization has to have met every other civilization in the game, and they also have to have at least the printing press technology at that point. So once the World Congress comes into play, what happens is every so often, and the frequency of these meetings gets quicker and quicker as the game goes along, the World Congress is going to get together and they're going to vote on resolutions that may change the rules of the game. So, for instance, when the game starts out, everyone can trade with everyone else, everyone can trade with city-states. We have powerful new systems for trade that we've introduced with Brave New World, but the World Congress can start to limit that. It could mean that you are not allowed to trade with city-states anymore, or you're not allowed to trade a certain luxury good, such as whaling or furs. That might be banned. Or if a certain nation is being a particular warmonger or somebody who is a rogue state that no one else likes and respects, there can actually be a trade embargo against that nation, and they can't trade with anyone in the game, which is going to have huge effects on their ability to continue to compete. And so you'll actually be able to have these international sanctions against them. You can also do things later in the game when you get to things like nuclear weaponry. There's a nuclear non-proliferation that also goes on, and then powers are allowed to still use existing nuclear stockpiles if they have them, but they're not allowed to build new nuclear forces. So you might think, well, wow, some of these resolutions are going to come into effect, and how do I ever get out from under them? As long as you're playing along the diplomatic game and participating in the World Congress and able to work your way to votes, even if you get a bad resolution against you, you can get it repealed later. So there is a way out, but if you completely ignore the diplomatic game going on with the city-states and with the way other people think of you with the World Congress, you're going to be in trouble with some of these sanctions coming along. Interesting question. I think the key thing that the team thought was most in need of was looking at the culture victory. We didn't want anyone to be able to win a game of Civ 5 and feel like, I had an amazing civilization that I've created that is worthy of being the best one in the world. And there were cases with the old culture system where you were sitting back playing it passively. Someone else would have a great empire, but you'd rush to the victory line before and you could actually win the game that way. Now we feel like anytime you win a game of civilization, you're going to be an amazing empire that's worthy of being the true victor in that situation. Okay, well, I don't think I'm actually allowed to answer that right now.
Come on.
But I'm happy to tell you that we feel like there are all sorts of amazing new avenues and paths that we can take with this franchise. We've been able to explore a bunch of new directions with Brave New World, not only bringing you new civilizations that have never been in the series before, but with systems like archaeology and Great Works. Those are brand new systems that have never been in the series either. And so we're looking forward to trying other new things as we go forward.
All right, well, thanks a lot.
Okay.